Hi, I'm Serafina. Not Sarah, not Sophie, not Sabrina. It's Serafina. A name you don't forget easily, unless, of course, you're my family. They forgot my birthday. Again. Let's be clear. This isn't about cake or candles. It's not about presents or parties. This is about something far deeper, far older. About being seen, about mattering. When someone forgets your birthday, it's like being erased from the calendar of their lives. When they forget it every year, it stops feeling like an oversight. It starts to feel like a message. It was a Sunday. Gray skies. A lazy Seattle drizzle tapping against my apartment window. I woke up earlier than usual, partly because of a weird mix of hope and dread. Hope that maybe, this year would be different. Dread, because it never was. I stared at my phone. Notifications. One from my credit card company. Happy birthday, Serafina. Enjoy 5% cash back. One from a makeup brand I haven't used in years, and one from a yoga app I downloaded during lockdown and promptly forgot. But not a single message from my mom, my dad, or my sister Rachel. I sat up, holding the phone in my lap, thumb hovering over the call icon. Should I text them? Should I post something on Instagram to jog their memory? Maybe a vague story. Another year around the sun. Something just subtle enough. But I stopped myself. I wasn't going to beg to be remembered. By 2 p.m., I cracked. I called my mom. She answered on the third ring, her voice brisk and distracted. Hi, sweetie. Can I call you back later? I'm elbow deep in frosting. Rachel wants lemon lavender cupcakes for the baby shower. Your dad is trying to help, which means the kitchen's a war zone. My heart didn't just sink, it plummeted. Mom, I said slowly, do you know what day it is? She paused. Not long. Just long enough to twist the knife. Sunday? She offered. That was it. No recognition, no gasp, no recovery. Not even a bad cover-up like, oh my God, I was going to call you this evening. She moved on to asking if I could bring folding chairs to the baby shower next weekend. I ended the call before my voice could crack. It wasn't just the forgetting. It was the routine of it. Every year since Rachel got pregnant with her first child, my birthday disappeared into the vortex of family priorities. She was the golden one, the miracle baby, the firstborn. I was the good kid, the easy one, the one who didn't cause trouble, who didn't need saving, which meant they forgot I also needed love. I poured myself a glass of wine at 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm not proud of that, but I don't regret it either. The cabin flashed into my mind then. The cabin. The one I'd helped put the down payment on when Dad's credit was maxed out, and Rachel was knee-deep in IVF bills. The same one they were now using to host her baby shower. No one had asked if I was okay with that. No one even mentioned it. They just sent a group text saying, "Can't wait to celebrate Rachel. Cabin party, next Sunday." And I was expected to RSVP with a heart emoji. Here's the part where I almost played along. I almost baked the damn cupcakes, brought the chairs, smiled for the pictures, and clapped for diaper raffles like the loyal supporting actress I'd been cast as my entire life. But something in me snapped. Not in a fiery, plate-throwing kind of way. More like a quiet ignition. Like something in my soul stood up and said, enough. And that's when the plan started forming. Ever been the easy one in the family? Sometimes that just means you're the easiest to ignore. I didn't expect the sky to mourn with me. Seattle's rain is constant, like a heartbeat you forget until it's gone. But that morning, it was clear, almost arrogant in its stillness, as if the universe had already moved on from my disappointment. I hadn't slept. Not really. My body had gone through the motions, brushing teeth, feeding the cat, checking work emails. But my mind kept returning to that silence. The silence of a family that forgot. Not just a date, but me. The worst part wasn't the forgetting. It was the routine of it, the normalcy. It had become tradition. My birthday passes, Rachel gets the spotlight, every single year. And I'm expected to smile through it like a good sport, a supportive sister. The easy one. I was stirring oat milk into my coffee when my phone buzzed across the countertop. I picked it up without much thought, still foggy from my mental spiral. Rachel. Hey fam! Official baby shower invite attached. Can't wait to celebrate with everyone at the cabin next weekend. Bring snacks and good vibes. Attached was a Pinterest-level baby shower graphic in millennial pastel. Baby animals in floral crowns, watercolor balloons, and Rachel's name in curly font above the words, Mama of Two. I froze. Not at the invite, though the graphic was enough to induce a cavity, but at the location. The cabin. The same cabin I helped pay for. The same one I hadn't stepped foot in since Christmas, because the family group had quietly shifted plans without consulting me. It was supposed to be a shared family retreat, but over the past year, it became a party venue for Rachel and a summer project for Mom. I read the message again. They didn't even ask, not once. They hadn't remembered my birthday, but they remembered to plan a full-blown shower with theme colors and emoji-filled invites at a place I owned half of. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I started typing. Did someone forget to ask the co-owner of the cabin first? I didn't wait. I hit send. 3 dots appeared, then paused, then reappeared. Rachel. Oh, come on, Sarah. Don't be dramatic. You barely even go up there. I laughed out loud, a short, humorless sound that startled my cat. Dramatic? She said it like it was a bad word, like expressing boundaries was a flaw. That was Rachel's specialty, sanctifying herself as calm and rational while branding me unstable for speaking up. It was a subtle violence, coded in civility. I typed slowly, each letter weighted. That's funny, because I remember wiring $18,000 to make the down payment. But sure, dramatic fits. No response for a full minute. Then another ping. Mom. Sweetheart, Rachel's baby shower is important. Let's not make this about money. We'll do something for your birthday next weekend, okay? There it was. The tidy, diplomatic dismissal. I could practically hear her tone, soft, reasonable, edged with condescension. The morning light filtered through my blinds in pale streaks, slicing across the papers still strewn over my coffee table like the aftermath of a storm. I sat in the middle of it all. Financial statements, emails, printed texts, old voicemails, each one a fragment of a story that had been twisted by people who claimed to love me. Love had always come with asterisks in my family. We love you, but don't rock the boat. We love you, but be grateful it wasn't worse. We love you, but your needs are too much right now. This time, there would be no more asterisks, no more silence disguised as grace. I opened my laptop and created a new folder. Title: Operation Reset. Subfolder: 1. Legal Documents. Subfolder: 2. Financial Contributions. Subfolder: 3. Timeline of Events. Subfolder: 4. Receipts. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't petty. This was audit-level clarity. I wasn't burning the house down. I was changing the locks and leaving my name on the deed. The first call I made that day wasn't to a lawyer or a therapist. It was to Eleanor. She was my mother's younger sister by 13 years, the black sheep of the family for choosing a nonprofit career and an apartment in Portland over a husband in the suburbs, which made her the only relative I trusted. You sound different, she said after a few seconds of small talk. Steady, but like you're loading a slingshot. That's because I am. Tell me everything. And I did. I walked her through it, starting with the forgotten birthday, the baby shower invite, the cabin access. By the time I finished, she let out a long breath that sounded more like a growl. They crossed a line, and they didn't even blink. I'm not asking for drama. I just want my boundaries respected. Syrah, she said slowly, they've trained you to feel like boundaries are drama. That landed hard. So what now? She asked. I hesitated. Now? I said. Now I make sure they understand what happens when you write someone out of their own story. By midweek, the guest list for the shower had been texted to me by mistake. Mom must have hit the wrong thread. There were over 30 names, cousins, neighbors, even Dad's poker buddies. Everyone had been invited to celebrate Rachel. None of them knew the party was being held on fractured land, built on silence, funded by omission. The guest list was an unexpected gift, because now I knew who'd be watching when the truth was revealed. But I didn't want to confront them with anger. That would only prove their point, that I was the difficult one. No, I would speak in their language, politeness, polished, calm, surgical precision, the kind that makes people remember. I drove to the cabin on Friday, 2 days before the shower. The place was empty, quiet, the kind of manufactured peace you only get from overpriced wood and Instagram filters. But I didn't come to admire the decor. I walked straight to the smart lock panel, tapped the touchscreen. Access denied. A small smile tugged at my lips. They thought they'd won, that I would find the locked door, maybe cry, maybe yell, and then turn around. But they forgot who programmed the system in the first place. I pulled out the backup key from under the fake rock I'd planted back when we installed the landscaping. One twist and the door clicked open. I stepped inside, not like a thief, but like an architect returning to a blueprint she once believed in. The kitchen still had the wine I'd stocked last fall. The bedroom closet still had blankets I'd bought. My handwriting was still on the pantry labels. They'd erased my name, but my fingerprints were everywhere. That night, I wrote a letter. Not a rant. Not a monologue. Just a clear, concise recounting of the truth. What I'd paid, what I'd done, what had been taken. I didn't accuse. I didn't insult. I let the facts do the work. I printed 35 copies, one for each guest. Saturday morning, I met with the property lawyer Devin had recommended. Just a consultation for now, but enough to remind myself that I wasn't powerless, that every favor I'd done for this family was legally backed. "It's rare someone documents things this well," she said, flipping through the binder I brought. "It's not a habit," I replied. "It's a survival instinct." That night, Rachel texted me. "Rachel, just checking that you're bringing chips or whatever? We're short on snack duty." No greeting, no apology, no acknowledgement. I stared at the screen for a long time, then typed back, "I'll be bringing something better." The morning of the baby shower arrived cloaked in that kind of stillness that comes before a storm, not of weather, but of consequence. The sky hung low and gray, matching the weight in my chest. But I wasn't nervous. I was ready. I dressed with intention. Not flashy, not forgettable. A soft navy dress, simple jewelry, hair down. Power in understatement. Let them see me not as a threat, but as a mirror. Something they'd have to look into, whether they liked the reflection or not. The drive to the cabin was quiet. No music. Just the rhythm of tires on asphalt and the occasional whisper of wind through the trees. I rehearsed nothing. I didn't need to. The truth didn't require rehearsal. The cabin appeared through the thinning woods, trimmed with balloons and pastel banners. I parked behind 3 SUVs, all filled with relatives who hadn't sent a single message on my birthday. I stepped out, holding the small gift bag with my name on it. Inside weren't diapers or baby clothes, but a soft-bound booklet. The letter I'd printed 35 times. One for each guest. One truth, multiplied. Inside, laughter bounced off the high ceilings. The living room had been transformed into a Pinterest board. Mama-to-be signs, streamers, personalized cupcakes, and a diaper cake that looked professionally made. My mom moved through the crowd like a host on a mission, checking trays and adjusting decorations. She saw me and froze for just a second, just long enough for me to notice. "Serafina!" she called, voice lilting with that performance tone she reserved for company. "You made it!" "I wouldn't miss it," I said, placing the gift bag gently on the table. "It is my property, after all." Her smile faltered, but she didn't respond. She moved on like she hadn't heard it. Rachel stood near the fireplace, wearing a blush-colored dress that hugged her baby bump. Her glow was deliberate. I watched her scan the room, soaking in compliments like they were oxygen. Then she saw me. "Sarah," she said flatly, "glad you could come." "I brought something special," I said. Thought everyone should have a little piece of the truth. She blinked. What? But before she could press, I started handing out the booklets. One to the couple laughing by the kitchen island. One to Aunt Carla, who had never remembered my name, but always remembered to ask Rachel about her skincare routine. One to the high school friend Rachel hadn't spoken to in years, but invited for the photos. Each guest took the booklet with curiosity. Some flipped through immediately. Others hesitated. But within minutes, the mood shifted. The hum of idle chatter dulled. Pages turned, eyes widened. My letter wasn't cruel. It was exact. It listed dates, amounts, contributions. It quoted Rachel's own messages. It ended with a quiet explanation. I'm not here to ruin a celebration. I'm here to reclaim the space I helped build. With honesty, with boundaries, with nothing left to hide. Rachel's voice cracked first. What the hell is this? She held the booklet like it was on fire. Truth, I said simply. You're sabotaging me. On my baby shower? No, Rachel. I'm correcting the record. You wrote me out. I'm just putting my name back where it belongs. Mom swooped in, voice sharp but brittle. This isn't the time, Serafina. I met her eyes. When would be the right time, Mom? After you pass the cabin down to Rachel, without even asking me? After the next party I'm not invited to but still fund? She stepped back like I'd slapped her. A silence settled. Not angry, not explosive. Shaken. Uncomfortable truths are like earthquakes, not always loud, but they shift everything. Some guests murmured apologies. A few handed the booklets back with awkward nods. Most avoided eye contact, but I didn't need them to understand. I needed me to be heard. I turned to leave, gift bag empty, heart light. Rachel's voice followed me out. You just love attention, don't you? I paused at the door. No, I just don't like being invisible anymore. And then I walked out. The cabin was quieter after I left, but not still. The kind of quiet that isn't peace. It's recoil. By the time I got home, my phone had already begun its slow burn. Missed calls, voicemails, one from Dad, two from Mom, and a string of increasingly frantic texts from Rachel that started with, "How could you?" and ended with, "You're dead to me." I didn't respond. I let the silence sit. Not as punishment, but as clarity. The next morning, Devin showed up with 2 coffees and a look. So, how does it feel to break the internet of your own family? I smirked. Like pulling a splinter no one admitted was there. You've got them spinning. Facebook's already a battlefield. Your cousin Jenna posted, "Families should support each other equally." And I think your aunt tried to subtweet you with a meme about Grace. We laughed, sort of. But underneath it was something weightier. Something I couldn't name yet, but I could feel it in my bones, like standing at the edge of something irreversible. That night, Mom called again. I answered. "Serafina," she said, voice low. "Are you happy now?" "No," I replied calmly. "But I'm honest, finally." There was a pause. "You humiliated your sister, in front of everyone. Over what? Money?" I inhaled. Slowly, deliberately. It's not about money. It's about being erased. Rachel's going through so much. You think this is easy for her? This has never been easy for me. You just never asked. The line went quiet. She didn't hang up, but she didn't speak either. Just silence. For once, I let it sit. Then I said, "I didn't do this to destroy anything. I did it to stop pretending." She didn't answer, and I didn't push. A few days later, Eleanor called. "They're shook," she said. "Half the family's texting me like I'm your PR agent." "Let them." "But here's the thing," she continued. "One of your uncles wants to talk. Apparently, he had no idea how much you contributed. He said, 'If that had been my daughter, I'd be livid.'" That stopped me. Not because I wanted validation, but because it proved what I'd always feared. They didn't know because no one wanted them to know. I spent the rest of the week letting the waves settle. I didn't engage. I didn't explain. I just lived. Took long walks. Watered my plants. cooked for myself instead of skipping meals out of stress. And somewhere in that stillness, the ache didn't disappear, but it changed, from sharp to steady, from rage to resolve. The Monday after the baby shower, my apartment felt like a hotel room. Clean, orderly, but foreign. I moved through it like a guest in my own life, unsure what came next. The silence wasn't hostile anymore, but it wasn't comforting either. It just lingered. There was no dramatic fallout, no knock on the door, no apology text. The family group chat had gone radio silent, as if pretending I didn't exist would restore balance. But the silence didn't hurt this time. It clarified. On Wednesday, I received a letter in the mail. Handwritten. My father's blocky cursive on the envelope. No return address, just my name in all caps. It was the kind of envelope that carried weight before you even opened it, not because of what was inside, but because of who finally chose to speak. Inside was a single sheet of lined paper, folded once. Serafina, I should have said something earlier, years earlier, but I never knew how. I saw what happened, not just at the shower, long before that. You were always the one who held the corners together when the center fell apart. I let them overlook you because it was easier to keep the peace. I see now that peace bought with silence isn't peace at all. I'm not writing to fix anything. I'm just trying not to be silent this time. Dad. My fingers tightened around the paper. For the first time in days, I cried. But not the angry, broken sobs of someone unraveling. These were slow, quiet tears. The kind that rise not from pain, but from something that finally let go inside you. That evening, I called Eleanor. "You're going to want a drink," I said before she could speak. Dad wrote me. No way. One page. No excuses. Just honesty. And? I'm still trying to figure out what I feel. It's like, it doesn't fix anything, but it stopped a leak I didn't know I was still patching. By the end of the week, I drove out to the cabin again. This time, not to reclaim, not to fight, but to breathe. The space was still, the decorations long gone, the aftermath swept up. I made tea, curled up in the chair I'd picked out from a second-hand shop 2 years earlier, and sat with myself. I thought of Rachel, of how long I'd played the background to her spotlight, of how I'd let the need for harmony distort my own sense of value. And for the first time, I didn't hate her for it. I pitied her, because she never had to build herself from silence, never had to earn being heard. I'd done both, and that meant I'd outgrown the script they kept casting me in. As I locked the cabin and walked down the porch steps, a familiar voice called out behind me. "Didn't expect to see you here." Rachel stood at the tree line, sunglasses perched on her head, like she'd wandered out of a boutique catalog. Her arms were crossed, but not tightly. Her voice wasn't sharp, just weary. "Didn't expect you to come alone," I said. "I needed to." We stood there for a minute, two women who'd grown up in the same house, but in different worlds. "So," she said, "what was that back there, at the party?" "A reset. You made me look like a villain." "You did that part yourself, Rachel." Her jaw tightened, but she didn't argue. Instead, she looked down at her shoes. "I read your letter, twice." I didn't answer. "I don't know if I can ever see it from your side, but I didn't realize what it looked like from outside mine." That was the closest I'd ever get to an apology, and I took it for what it was, a crack, not a collapse. "I'm not asking for anything," I said. "Not now." She nodded, then looked at me, really looked at me. "You always scared me, you know." "Why?" "Because you didn't need us the way I did." That landed heavier than I expected. "That's not strength, Rachel. That was survival." She left without hugging me, and I didn't offer one. But we didn't walk away angry, just done with pretending. Spring came early. I noticed it not by the trees or the calendar, but by the quiet way my body stopped bracing for impact. There was no grand finale, no dramatic family reunion or group hug at a therapist's office. That's not how real life works. Not mine, anyway. What I got instead was space, distance, and the chance to build something that belonged to me, fully. I kept the cabin, legally and emotionally. I filed the paperwork alone, updated the access system, repainted the front door a deep olive green. Devon helped me refinish the deck. Eleanor brought plants. We turned it into a place not of recovery, but of presence. Mom didn't reach out again, not really. A short message on Easter. Hope you're well. Rachel had the baby. A girl. I replied politely. Congratulations. It didn't hurt. Dad sent one more note a few weeks later. No signature, just, still listening. I didn't need more. One Saturday, I stood in the middle of the living room and finally did something I hadn't been able to before. I took a deep breath without apology. This space, these walls, my voice, they were mine now. Rachel and I hadn't spoken again. And maybe we wouldn't. But I didn't carry it like a wound anymore. Some people grow roots in the sun. Others, like me, learn to bloom after the burn. I opened the windows and let the breeze in. No ghosts, no echoes. Just me. Whole. Enough. If there's one thing I've learned through all this, it's that silence doesn't make you strong. It just makes you invisible. And for far too long, I confused peace with suppression. But healing isn't about getting the apology you deserve. Sometimes it's about giving yourself the permission to move forward without it. No one gets to write you out of your own story. You get to decide when the silence ends and what your next chapter looks like. So let me ask you, have you ever been the quiet one in your family? The easy one who kept everything together while losing pieces of yourself? How did you reclaim your voice? If this story resonated with you, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Or if it challenged you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you made it to the end, hit that subscribe button for more true stories that might just remind you you're not alone.